This is section 3.3. We're using the multiplication and division properties of equality to solve equations. So if we have A equal to B and we multiply both sides of this equation by the same constant C, it is still balanced. So for example, if the number of men in a room is equal to the number of women in the room, and we double the number of men, as long as we double the number of women, they will still be balanced. And the division property of equality says if we divide both sides of the equation by the same constant, then it will still be balanced. So our goal in solving this equation is to find the value of x. So we want to get the x alone. And what we're eliminating here is a coefficient. And we're eliminating the coefficient 10. And to eliminate coefficients, we're going to use the multiplication or division properties of equality. And we're going to do the same thing on both sides of the equation. So I am going to divide both sides of this equation by 10. 10 divided by itself is 1, and 1x is x, and 50 divided by 10 equals 5. And I will check this equation by plugging in the solution 5, and 10 times 5 equals 50, and I end up with a balance statement. My next equation, 28, equals negative 4p, and so I want to get the p alone, so I am going to divide both sides of this equation by the coefficient negative 4. I'm not changing the sign. So 28 divided by negative 4 is negative 7. Negative 4 divided by itself is 1, and 1 times p is p. So here's my solution, and I will check the solution by plugging in the value negative 7 for p, and I end up with a balanced statement. My next equation, negative y equals 34. So my goal is to find out what y is equal to. And I have this negative sign sitting there. So what I'm going to recognize is that is the same as negative 1y equals 34. So to eliminate this coefficient, I'm going to divide both sides of the equation by the coefficient negative 1. And y equals negative 34 is my solution. And I will check this negative y equals 34, and I will replace y with the solution negative 34, and the opposite of negative 34 is positive 34, and that's my balance statement. This time I have x over 4. Well, x over 4 is x divided by 4. Since they're dividing by 4, I am going to multiply both sides of this equation by 4. And what happens is 4 divided by itself is 1, 1x, and negative 5 times 4 is negative 20. So what we're doing is we're using the inverse operation. When they divide, we multiply. So I'm going to check my solution by plugging negative 20 in for x. Negative 20 divided by 4 is negative 5, so my check works. Okay, here I have x divided by 4 equals negative 5. So again, they divide by 4, we multiply by 4, and x equals negative 20. Okay, so here I have 2 equals t divided by negative 8. And since they're dividing by negative 8, I will multiply both sides of this equation by negative 8. and negative 8 times 2 is negative 16 equals t. So I'll check that solution by substituting negative 16 in for t and my balance statement. Okay, so here we have m divided by 12 equals negative 3. So since they divide by 12, I'll multiply by 12, and m equals negative 36. X plus 18 equals 2. So now I want to get x by itself, and I want to get rid of a constant. So to eliminate constants, we use addition and subtraction. To eliminate coefficients, we use multiplication, division. So here I will subtract 18 from both sides of the equation to eliminate the constant, and my solution, x equals negative 16. So what I see here is that both the left and the right expression need to be simplified before I start to solve, because I can combine like terms. So 20 plus 8 is 28. Negative 10t plus 3t is negative 7t. And now I'm ready to solve this equation. To eliminate the coefficient, I use division. Dividing both sides by negative 7, I get negative 4 equals t. Again, I have to simplify each expression before I can solve the equation. So on the left, negative 4 plus 10 is 6. On the right, the first thing I want to do is distribute the negative 3. So multiplying twice, negative 3 times t is negative 3t. Negative 3 times positive 2 is negative 6. And then I'm going to bring down this negative 1. So I'm going to combine the variable amounts. 4t minus 3t is 1t. And then negative 6 minus 1 is negative 7. So I have 6 equals t minus 7. So it takes one step to eliminate this constant. I'm going to add 7 on both sides of the equation. And my solution, 13, equals t. And here are some for you to try.